you to Bridges today. I'm Monica Schmelter, and I'm so glad that you could join us. Today we're going to talk to Ruth and Eric Brown about their faith, their family, and their life. And Ruth, it's good to have you on Bridges today.
Thank you.
And Eric, it's so nice to meet you and have you on the program as well. In just a little bit, Eric, we're going to go into your house and take kind of a look at the day in the life of the Brown family. But let's start out with how did you and Ruth meet?
We were waiting tables on the General Jackson out at Opryland. I probably caught her eye.
Is that right, Ruth? He caught your eye?
He did catch my eye. I ended up stealing some of his food to serve to my to my tables because he was too late getting it, and that led to more conversations.
Tell us a little bit about your family and your children, Ruth.
We have 3 kids. Brennan is 8, Abby is 6, and Pearl is 3. Mm-hmm. I homeschool our 2 older kids, and Pearl has a lot of special needs and global developmental delay. She's sick a lot, and we try to keep a really tight-knit family at home as much as possible.
Yeah, because you do, as you said, you have some special challenges, and I shared with you and Eric that, you know, I have a brother with some special challenges, so I feel like we have, you know, some in common there. Eric, when did you and Ruth find out that Pearl might have some special challenges?
It was at the 20-week ultrasound. I had just come off of a tour less than a week before that. And
what kind of a tour?
I was touring with the band.
Okay.
Club tour. And yeah, we were really grumpy the whole morning, all the way to the ultrasound appointment. I don't think we really spoke more than a couple of words. Just because when you travel for work, coming back in, sometimes it's a rough landing.
Absolutely.
I was tired, wanted to be served because I just got through traveling the country. Ruth was tired, wanted to be served because she had been quasi-single parenting for the last
2
few
kids
months.
and 20 weeks pregnant.
Yeah, we were very, very, very grumpy. I went in for that ultrasound, and I did not know it then, but I know now there's like a dance that technicians have to do when they need to get more photos than they can let you know. Like, they can't let you know what's going on.
Right.
But they have to pacify you long enough for them to do their job. So it went on and on. It was kind of confusing. And yeah, afterwards, got the bad news.
Yeah. So the technician kind of gets you through the procedure to get the more pictures. Was it the doctor that told you, Ruth? Or?
There was a midwife who was taking care of all of my prenatal appointments. And so she had done all of my prenatal care for both of my other pregnancies. We were friends as much as you can be.
Right.
With professional boundaries. And she came into the room, and basically she said, "I heard you had an ultrasound today," and basically just started crying and said things are not good for your baby girl. And so she told us the name of the condition. It's called holoprosencephaly. And
like, I've never even heard of that before.
No, it's not. It's pretty rare. Lots of times children are not born alive. Lots of times it ends in a miscarriage early on in the pregnancy. And so when I asked her for more information and what we would do, she said, well, typically parents terminate the pregnancy. I've never dealt with this before, and so let me send you to a specialist and he'll give you more information. And when we went to him, his advice was to terminate the pregnancy immediately. When we balked, we said, you know, we can't do that. Our daughter is alive now, and we will support her as long as she is. He said, well, this condition is not compatible with life. You have 2 other children. Go home and be happy with them. We said that we have 3 children. He said, well, I'll refer you to another doctor then. And so he did, and the other doctor was more supportive. We had regular ultrasounds and checked on Pearl. And we immediately went home and started calling and emailing friends asking for prayer and support. And our community really did rally.
That's good to hear. I think, Eric, from a man's perspective, you hear from a specialist terminate. I mean, when I think about even the words to say to somebody, you've got 2 other children, be happy with them, go home. What are you thinking?
I was livid.
Yeah.
I've often said that if you were going to make a pro-life propaganda film that was going to be overly dramatic, this would be the guy that you would very easily pick to be your bad doctor. But he was such a small blip at the beginning of this whole thing. I mean, we had so many incredible doctors after just this one guy really dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even know if he just had a bad day. And maybe he and his wife argued all the way to work that
That's
morning
right.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he really missed an opportunity. I think that the older men in leadership positions such as his, like, maybe jump on these opportunities to speak wisdom and hope and encouragement.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, you have to deliver the bad news.
Right.
I'm not saying don't deliver the bad news, but see it as an opportunity to serve.
Absolutely.
And I think he missed it.
He definitely missed it. When you got the bad news, you never had a moment, did you, Eric, that you thought terminating would be the way to go? Why is that?
I never had. I wondered if Ruth was going to have that and didn't feel comfortable talking about it for obvious reasons. So I tried to create a space for her to maybe share if she was feeling different. And she was like, no, that's ridiculous. I'm not feeling any different than you about this. But I really think it was having a strong view of God's sovereignty, that when we heard it, we automatically knew this is God doing what he does. I still don't understand all of it, but I'm quite confident that he does everything for our good and his glory.
Amen.
And was quite confident that regardless of whether Pearl made it to term, she was going to be fine ultimately. That if she was miscarried, it's not as if she would just disappear or cease to exist. Yeah, it was just confidence in God's power and his goodness and his sovereignty. I did not always see it as good, though. And even now, I'm often confused by his definitions of good.
Yeah.
But then he reminds that, hey man, I didn't necessarily call holoprosencephaly good. I said I would work all of this together
That's right.
for good.
That's right. Yeah.
But I don't know what to do with the amount of suffering that Pearl currently has, knowing that her condition is something that God has intentionally done. Doesn't really fit with most current teachings
Oh, no. No, because most of us are using those words in the Bible or understanding them like blessing and good to kind of feel a certain way.
Sure.
When we say God has good plans, then that means that a young couple like you all think that you have all healthy children, and that if we just pray enough and if we just do enough of the right things, then only good things. And then we see these other things that happen, and I think we do experience sometimes confusion, questions, and yet at the same time trust him in the middle of it. Is that kind of what it's been like for you, Ruth?
It is. And to realize life is a gift. Children are gifts.
Yes.
And so that doesn't mean that everything's going to be easy. Every mother will tell you that parenting is hard. And being a mother is hard, and there's challenges, and it stretches you, and it makes you question yourself and the world around you. But to realize that it's all a gift as well. And so to try to cherish your children, to try to cherish your time with them, to love them as best as you can, and try to share that with the community around you as well.
And to cherish every moment as long as God graciously gives us those moments. Now, you also have two other beautiful children.
Yes.
And so I know that the one doctor who you said was just a blip on the radar who brought the bad news in a really unkind way. He said, go home and be happy with the other two. So some people would say, Ruth, you've got two other kids. How are they going to handle having a special needs sister like Pearl?
They love Pearl
Yes.
so much. Half of their arguments are over who gets to hold Pearl next and
What a good
what they
problem to
can do
have.
to help. They love her. There's probably a good bit of pretending in our house as far as interpreting her responses and thinking
Like
of
we
what
think
she
that
might.
she's doing, like she's smiling or
She's smiling, she's laughing, she thinks that I'm funny. It's like Pearl doesn't understand your joke, but I'm glad that you told it to her.
amen. That's right.
She doesn't hug back. If you kiss her on her bottom lip, then kind of as a baby response, she'll kind of
Yeah.
lick, like something has happened to my mouth, what's going on? And so they'll kiss her bottom lip and she will kiss them back.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily intentional.
Right.
Brennan and Abby do not suffer because of Pearl. Their life is enriched because of her, and we'll be so sad if or when one day she's not with us anymore.
Yeah, because everybody's life, just even reading some of your writings about Pearl enriches everybody's life to see that God gives all life, and all life is good, regardless, you know what I'm saying, of how we
Absolutely.
interpret it. And has that been a challenge for you to be able to share with honesty and transparency that it's a struggle and a blessing at the same time?
Yes. And I would say, where you would say they don't suffer, I would say they do suffer. I would say we all are suffering, and that Pearl is a tremendous burden, more so than her being a burden. She's a tremendous joy
Yes.
and gift to our family.
Yes.
And I think I'm finding more and more we go through really deep seasons of suffering and questioning. And yet God promises I'm near to the brokenhearted. So
Yes.
anytime it looks like there's a hospital stay coming into the mix or Pearl gets sick, we can start to look, okay, God, you've promised to be here. I'm looking, and we find him, and the older kids find him. So yeah, the suffering is real suffering, but he always is right there in the mix. It's not always easy to see
Right.
what he's doing, but it's quite often easy to see that he's
Yes.
present and that he's very near. I would prefer suffering and his presence, or knowledge of his presence, over frivolity and oblivion.
You
to
know
God.
that's right. You know that's right.
So if we have the option, like, man, we'll suffer
That's right.
because the King is here. He's literally near to us right now.
Amen. Amen. Well, we are out of time. I want to thank you all for coming today into the studio, for sharing about your life, your faith, and your family. We want you to stay with us. We actually took our cameras out to the Browns house so that you could get a day and a look in their life.
Eric and Ruth Brown share their home with their 3 children. Ruth homeschools their 2 oldest children, Brennan and Abby, and takes care of their youngest child, Pearl, along with nurses. As many of you know, having a disabled child can present difficult challenges to any family. But the Browns are remarkably blessed. When you walk in their home, you can instantly tell that it is a place filled of joy, love, and understanding. Photos line the wall telling the story of God's grace, that He cares about our suffering, and that He is moving on our behalf even when we can't see it.
Our days start at 7 in the morning, and Pearl has a breathing treatment that takes about an hour to help her lungs stay healthy. She has breakfast. The older kids get up. I give them breakfast. I homeschool them during the week. 3 days a week, we have a nurse who comes to help take care of Pearl so that I can run errands and take care of Brennan and Abby without constantly running back and forth to Pearl.
And with the house this size, there is no getting away from each other. So yeah, we're on top of each other, but it's okay. There's a lot of merit to that. Not something we would have chosen, but yeah, there's a lot of good that comes from it.
Pearl just got this thing called the vest. It shakes her super fast, and she really likes it. And the vest is supposed to, I think it's supposed to shake her, loosening all the snot and slobber and stuff in her throat. And then there's this thing called a suction machine. We use it it sucks up all of the snot and slobber. And so it helps her breathe better. Last time Pearl was in the hospital, me and Abby, we kind of just started fighting. And so Dad said, if we're going to be a family, then we need to stick together. And so we tried harder. And so we stopped arguing every single second. And it helped us. Yeah. And yeah, it's helped us a lot.
So I think we've all learned conflict resolution and not to get upset about things of little consequence.
Knowing at the beginning that oftentimes having a kid with a disability can tear families apart. The little things seem like bigger things when it comes between a marriage. And so knowing that on the front end and being proactive to not let it turn into a big thing, but say, look, it's been a really hard day. We're both feeling overwhelmed. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's just a hard day. And so you make the choice to give each other more grace, to give each other more space for whatever reaction you need to have, and to let it be a point to talk about and to draw you closer together instead of push you further apart. And then the same thing with the older kids. We can't get out to let them have lots of friends and lots of play dates. They are not in a traditional school classroom. They really do need to be each other's best friend. And so when they start to bicker, a lot of times just a quick reminder of, hey guys, it's been a hard week and you're not making it any easier on yourself or your brother and your sister in how you're responding. So can you make a different choice? Can you try to make things easier? Can you try to show the love that we all know that you feel?
Being told at 20 weeks that we will likely have no time with Pearl, and if there's any time, it'll be a very short time. Having already been giving that tremendously bad news, everything else is a step up from that. So there's a lot of gratitude in the mix for things that maybe otherwise we wouldn't be so thankful for.
We probably have more Legos than most kids. I like to go to work with my dad. Sometimes I get paid $5 each time I go to work with him, even if I'm hardly doing anything.
I don't feel like a leader most of the time. I feel more like a stumbler most of the time. Yeah, I wouldn't say that I feel like a leader. I know that I've been given that task, um, but I'm clueless about most of how to move forward. And at the same time, I'm completely confident that um, if I am weak and opt to not be strong, um, that God moves in incredible ways to equip all of us, I would say. Um, yeah, my leadership looks a lot like me being like, look at that guy. Don't look at me. I don't know what to do right now, but I know that God does. I had a pastor years ago who would always speak that his approach to leadership was come with me as I go to the cross. And I think that's, in a nutshell, the only thing I can really bring to the table.
He's good at being a dad. He's awesome at making jokes.
He's good at drawing.
He's pretty cool.
Even when Brennan and Abby bicker and fight like kids do, he very rarely just addresses their actions, but draws their attention to their hearts. And why are you trying to make your sister feel bad about herself? Instead of, why are you calling your sister mean names? And so I love that his brain is wired to look more at the root, at the heart, at the thoughts and the feelings, where my inclination is just to see what's so boldly in front of me.
Mom's real good at taking care of Pearl.
Mom's good at reading.
Really good at it. Mom's good at
Taking care of the family.
She's incredible. She's great. I am more in awe of the way she shepherds these three kids. It would be really offensive to her, I'm sure, to say that she does it tirelessly, because that is not the case. But she does it relentlessly, lays her life down over and over and over and over again. Really long nights with Pearl, really long hospital visits. God has given us enough, but she does a lot with very few resources. We've got a small budget, small house with nowhere to put anything. But she does much with very little and does not complain. Never hear her complain.
She's good at gardening. Real good at that. She's
Good at keeping us healthy.
She's it's another thing. Abby, do you have any other ideas? You have like all the ideas.
I wonder about the future. It's really hard to make plans for the future. Both at the very beginning with Pearl, through the second half of our pregnancy, right when she was born, and then there's been several times when she was sick enough where she was in intensive care for a week or two, where you're just never sure where her health is headed, and how to look forward to or plan the future. before she was born, we picked out a spot where she might be buried if she were to pass as soon as she was born. Obviously, thankfully, we have not used that spot. But you have to have plans for lots of different things. And so I think that it's just been made more clear to us that all the plans that we make, we should hold loosely anyway, whether or not you have a Pearl in your life. I would say that what goes on in our house, the amount of effort that it takes to keep the good ship Brown afloat, it's huge, and it's really, really hard. But it really is beautiful, and it's beautiful to us, and it really seems beautiful to anyone who's willing to step inside of our house and help and come along with us as well.
What a beautiful story. You know, when the WHTN crew and I met the Browns, we could tell that they were blessed. And yet we also recognized that they were dealing with a set of circumstances that we really couldn't imagine. Since we shot this story, those in the Middle Tennessee community have rallied together to raise money to update and renovate the Browns' home free of charge. See, God never leaves us in our suffering. He's present, and He's working to make a way even when we can't tell that He's working right now. If you're in a situation like the Browns where you're suffering, I want you to know that you can trust the name of Jesus Christ. His plan is perfect, and it will come to fruition in your life. Thank you for watching, Bridges. May you be blessed. Goodbye.
Do you have a ministry or business? You can contact Nashville's WHTN for studio and programming rates. Visit ctntv.org/studio or call 615-754-0039 for more details.
For more information on a guest, visit our website, ctntv.org. Prayer changes things. If you need prayer, write to the address on the screen. Call 615-754-0039 or email prayer@ctntv.org.